Nintendo's E3 Direct was exciting, and by far and away, my favorite part of the entire Direct was the short 2 minutes that they spent on Fire Emblem Three Houses. The new Fire Emblem game that was announced for Switch last year is finally getting a name, and it got a release date for spring 2019, which feels like an eternity away, but I'm excited for it nonetheless. I'm excited for more news that we'll get in the future. But today we're going to take a close look at that 2 minute trailer and really analyze it and see what we can glean from it so that we can be prepared for more information and just get more hyped for this game because I am so excited. So first thing we notice is that there's a female voice talking about some guy named Seiros, the Divine Seiros. Sounds like some sort of prophet guy who receives some revelation from the goddess that saves people or whatever. And honestly, it reminds me of Fire Emblem 4 in like that style of story where it may include some religion or some key characters talking to some higher powers that give them divine power. And I'm interested to see what will go, if the story will go in that direction. I really hope it does, honestly. And then we're revealed the trailer that revealed in the trailer that the name of the game is Fire Emblem Three Houses. So when you hear that, it really sounds like Fates kind of thing, where there's going to be three separate royal families or houses that are going to be vying for power, or these crests that are talked about later in the trailer that give some sort of power. And it makes me worry that we're going to have to buy this game 3 times to get the full experience, kind of like in Fates. I really hope that's not the case. I hope it has more to do with like branching path options in the main game and having different directions you can go. But we'll see where it goes. I hope it is more like that, but who knows. But then we get our first look at gameplay in Three Houses, and it has some really good-looking 3D map models, better than we've ever had in the series in terms of a 3D map model. I mean, we had like Tellius games, you know, FE9 and FE10, which is Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, and those guys didn't look good. They looked straight out of a PlayStation 1 game on GameCube and Wii. The main character, her name is Edelgard. I'm butchering that pronunciation, I can tell you that right now. But she seems to be a female axe lord, so a main character who's using an axe and is a female. We have never seen that ever in Fire Emblem history. We've had very influential characters in a story that are female and use axes, but we've never had the main character be a female and use an axe. Obviously, we've had Hector before, he used an axe, but he was not a female, obviously. And I did like, there was a cute little touch. There was a 2D sprite of Edelgard in the bottom corner of her like unit window on the map for like that told you her level and her HP, and it's just really cute. I hope every character has one of those. And then we get our very first view of like action selections. So Edelgard moved to next to an enemy unit, and then she had a bunch of options, which included attack, magic, and combat art, which seems to be taken straight out of Fire Emblem Echo Shadows of Valentia. And then we see a new one, which is Formation, and it'll definitely have something to do with what we see in the next scene, which is that every character has like a platoon of smaller, less important soldiers with them to help them fight in battle. And we also get small things like it's confirmed that weapons have durability again. We see that the axes and swords that Edelgard have a number of uses. And we also see Edelgard's class, which is Aristocrat. I almost said Aristocat, like the Disney movie with the cats. Yeah, rich cats. Cool. But with her class is Aristocrat, which seemingly can use axes, again, awesome, swords, and magic. And then we see a stat spread at the bottom, depending on which weapon she chooses, and pretty standard, you know, hit, avoid, critical, percentage, attack, all that. But then we also have END, or end, not really sure what that means, or and RSL, which also don't really know what that means. I guess we'll find out here soon. Hopefully we find out here soon with more trailers and whatnot in the future. They tend to send out a lot of trailers with Fire Emblem games, I feel like, especially with Echoes. There was one like over and over, like, tons of them. We knew exactly what that game was going to be before it came out. And then we get a peek at a battle window, just like the battle prediction window. It doesn't mention the weapon triangle, but there is a shaky hit rate for the axe versus the sword. So in Fire Emblem, there's the weapon triangle, which means swords beat axes, axes beat lances, and lances beat swords. And we see some evidence here by the fact that the axe user has a very shaky hit rate here, and the sword user has a very good one. Other than that, like lack of presenting the weapon triangle, it's pretty standard battle window. And then we get our first view of in battle. We see the main unit has a group of soldiers working with her. But before that, the quick transition to the battle looks really clean, and it reminds me of Echoes and how fast they made it look, and there's no wasting time with cute little poses they make or saying anything. They just get into battle and get it done. And then in battle, we see HP displayed as well as attack, hit, and crit, which is pretty normal for the series. And then there's a jump cut to another battle featuring some dude named Dimitri, who seems to be some sort of lance knight, no horse or anything. And this makes it seem as though, definitely makes it seem as though in this battle the weapon triangle is returning, because Dimitri's hit rate is really good. He's using a lance versus the guy who's using a sword, whose hit rate is really bad. So again, lances beat swords, so that makes sense. So it seems like the weapon triangle will be making a return after being absent in Echoes. We also get a better shot here of the troops in Dimitri's army actually fighting the troops in the enemy's army, which looked really cool and made it seem like a real battle that was actually happening rather than a one-on-one fight, which would be pretty odd. Honestly, think about it, in a war that's pretty odd looking. We get another jump cut to another battle of archers firing their arrows, but their arrows don't look like arrows. They look like the energy laser bolt things that Takumi from Fates shot out of his Fujin bow, which is pretty cool, I guess. I don't see why they aren't just actual arrows, but maybe there's story reasons for that. Then we get some animated cutscenes that seem to be a similar style to Echoes, which I appreciate. I really like that style. I thought it was really give character to the game that I felt were lacking in Awakening and Fates with their cutscenes. And then in the next scene we get a really cool zoom-in view of the battlefield that isn't like in a battle. It's still like a map. It's still like the map screen and like selecting where units move. And it just looked really cool. Just seeing, hundreds or dozens. In that shot, it was like dozens and dozens of units of characters, people actually standing on the battlefield. It made it look like an actual war, which excites me. And I really hope that plays into the story, that this is about like all-out war compared to other Fire Emblem games. We get a lot of smaller skirmishes and whatnot, which are fun in their own right. But I think this would be a really cool change after what we have been seeing in the series. So I think it'll be fun. And when we do zoom in, there's a nice mini map of the overhead view, which gives you some very basic information of like where enemies are and what weapons they are, what kind of weapons they are using, which will be very useful for when you are in that zoomed in mode. And in this scene, this is the second time a player character is attacking a unit that looks like it could also be a player character, or someone you would recruit. So in Fire Emblem, there are like characters that look like good guys. They just look, their portraits are clean, happy looking, and like usually like some sort of colorful hair or something going on. They just look playable. They look like good guys. And then there's the bad guys, which usually look kind of gross. They have like nasty facial hair. They just look disgusting in a lot of instances. So if the character like looks good, like they look like a cute character, then it's like obvious that they're a player character. So the fact that in two different scenes, your player character is fighting another character that looked like it could be a player character reminded me a lot of Fates. Leads me to believe that this is going to be a Fate-style story with 3 different royal families duking it out. And you'll be able to, I don't know if you'll be able to choose a side or if you're going to be loyal to one of them, but I can't help but think that we're going to go down that path of like choosing a side at some point. I hope it doesn't do that. I didn't like that in Fates. I just want to be able to go through the story, maybe have some branching paths, but I want to get all the characters in one story and stuff, and Fates was a little off-putting to me in that way. And then, so another little thing that was really important from that scene is we also see that the archer could counterattack at close range, which is returning from Echoes again, which is a nice little touch. I appreciate that. It makes archers actually usable. Generally in Fire Emblem, archers are like the worst class because they can't retaliate on enemy phase. So that's a nice touch, and I'm glad to see that return. And from here, we get open world exploration. Yay? woohoo. I mean, that's not what I go to Fire Emblem for. I don't go to Fire Emblem for open world exploration, or even if it's limited exploration, I don't go to it for that. But I don't know, some people might be into it. And you run around as a character whose name appears to be Byleth, B-Y-L-E-T-H, Byleth. Honestly, he seems like an avatar character. Like, you're going to be able to customize him and make him look however you want. There's probably a female version. And he never speaks in the trailer, so it makes it so he could possibly be a silent protagonist, which might be a good direction for the series to go after. In Fates, that avatar wasn't the best Corrin, not the best story-wise, and in Awakening, Robin was just kind of whatever, and then also in FE12, Chris, nobody likes Chris, so yeah, so it might be a good direction to go if it is a silent protagonist. I kind of hope it is. So, throughout the trailer, Edelgard, the aristocrat that we talked about before, the main character, the female axe-wielding lord, a time or two refers to a trainer, or a few times, and as Byleth, when speaking to Edelgard, you make the decision as to what Edelgard will work on, so like whether she'll train her sword proficiency or her axe proficiency. So it seems like the avatar character will be some sort of trainer. So I guess in Awakening we had the tactician, Fates we had the royal dragon dude, and here we're gonna get like some sort of martial arts teacher. some hand-to-hand combat trainer, fighter person. I don't know, which I think that's interesting. I think it might be a fun way to go about it, to make it so the avatar isn't the main character of the story, but still is a self-insert that you get to have, which might be fun. And would totally play into like the Fire Emblem theme of like, our bonds give us strength. He'd be able to help people be better at their craft, stronger people in general. I think that could be interesting. And also being able to choose between sword or axes in that moment means that you can like choose, maybe you could choose what weapon to improve your proficiency in, or maybe, and I like this better, I hope this is what it is, or maybe what combat arts are learned later or at that time. So if you choose axes, you'll get like a heavy hitting combat art, or if you choose swords, you'll get maybe like a combat art that is not as strong, but it hits twice in a row or something like that. I just hope we get cool stuff like that, rather than just something like, oh, you can use better axes now, which is important, and I get it. But I hope combat arts play a huge role in this game. And then also we see that this scene is not voice acted between Byleth and Edelgard. So it almost seems like voice acting may not return to the full extent that it was in Echoes. In Echoes, almost literally, I shouldn't say literally, almost everything was voice acted except for when a side quest was involved, so they didn't want you to miss anything, so you'd read it carefully. But otherwise, it was all spoken. But this could be just like an early build, and they just didn't have all the talking ready, all the voice acted clips ready at this point. So we'll see in the future, more definitely, what the status of that is. And then we get another cute cutscene of some goddess-looking lady holding up a beat-up sword. Honestly, it looks like a bat-themed Falchion. I never know how Falchion, which is Marth's sword. I don't know what significance that has. Well, I guess we'll find out. We also see we get to see the formation command in action with Dimitri. He chooses to make a V formation with his unit and run straight through some enemies, and it did tons of damage to him. It looked really cool. I don't know how that is going to play into things. If there's probably some sort of downside to it, like maybe you're open to an attack the next turn or something. I don't know, but it was really cool looking. I'm excited to see how that's implemented. And then we get a nice scene of Magic making a return from a basic looking fire spell. It also looks like some form of monsters will make a return in some way. There was that big like metal looking statue, but actually that could be like some tank of sorts. That'd actually be really cool too, if it was like a big battle tank or something that there were a few units in and you had to take it down somehow. That would be a cool thing too. And towards the end we get our first look at a critical animation, or what we can assume is a critical animation, by Byleth. We this cool portrait of him pops up in like a weird little animation, and then he does a jumping attack thing that probably did extra damage. Alright, okay. This game looks way fun, and I'm really excited to see the final build and have it come out next year. But a few things that I noticed throughout the trailer that were missing. So there's no pair-up inside at the moment, and they did not mention supports at all. I guarantee supports will be in the game somehow, some way, but I didn't see pair-up at all, or like dual stance, attack stance from Fates and Awakening. So I'm interested to see what will come of that, if that'll make it into the final build of the game or whatnot, or if it just won't fit into this game, which is fine with me. And some other things to talk about. Holy anime. From the music to the aesthetic style to the portraits of the characters, this game is full-blown anime. I feel like Fire Emblem, kind of in the way that, like, especially early Dragon Ball was like, you know, baby's first anime kind of thing with tropes and whatever. But man, this game feels anime as crap. Which I'm not against, but we'll see how it turns out in the final build of the game. And then Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia was totally a test ground for a bunch of the stuff in this game. Blew me away how similar this game is to Echoes. I love Echoes to death, love it to pieces. So I'm excited that they are taking influence from that game and implementing it into Three Houses, Fire Emblem Three Houses. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me today. Let me know what you guys are excited about in terms of Fire Emblem Three Houses. And maybe there's something I missed, let me know in the comments. But I hope this game is really good. It looks really good. I'm just pumped for this game. I wish it was coming out a little sooner, but that's okay. Spring 2019 will come soon enough, I'm sure.